Please excuse the internet choppiness that you're going to see in this video. The picture is fuzzy as well throughout. The audio is fine, but something is definitely going on with my internet. I actually recorded this video twice, thinking the second time would be better. It is not. So I appreciate the grace you show me as you watch this. It's not the quality that you expect from me and that you usually receive from me. And I don't know what the deal is, but in any case, enjoy the video. And once again, please forgive me for this internet issue. Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. As you all know, I have been out of the loop, so to speak, and just getting back into it. There were some things that I've wanted to talk about, but I was not able to talk about because I was away. And so you're going to hear some things probably in a few videos that are a little bit old, but I have not weighed in on it. And if I'm talking about it, it's because there's something about it that I want to talk about. But I'm going to start actually with the last game, the game the Fever played against the Las Vegas Aces. The game Indiana won 81-54. Now, I did go live after that game, but since then, I had the opportunity to watch Becky Hammon's post-game press conference, and I found something she said rather interesting. So I'm going to go over to YouTube, and the name of this YouTube account is The Ballers Magazine. So we're over The Ballers Magazine, and if you watch that press conference, I'll put the link in the description of this video in case you want to watch it. But if you watch it, you know Becky Hammon was not happy about the loss and about, more specifically, the way the team lost. It really was embarrassing. That 81-54. Remember, the Aces, they've won championships. They have Olympians, and the Fever went in there and took care of business. The Aces scored 7 points in the fourth quarter. Now, granted, they didn't have all their stars on the floor, and the Fever didn't as well, had 13, but 7 points, even without your stars on the floor. But it was embarrassing well before then. A'ja Wilson, she had 29 points. To her credit, she outscored every player on the floor from her team as well as the Fever. But think about it. She had 11 of those points from the free throw line because, let's face this, she has a special whistle. And so she went 11 for 13 from the line. And we're going to get into a little bit of that special whistle. But Becky Hammon was very blunt in what she thought, but she said something that really jumped out at me, and it makes me go, oh my, how things have changed. So let's look at a little bit of that press conference.
I thought they were grabbing and holding us, and so it's a rugby match. It's a rugby match, and my team doesn't want to play rugby back, and so we get our ass kicked, period. There has to be some fight back. If they're going to allow that kind of physicality, my team has to step up and match that physicality, period. So we just get, because one team is physical and one team is not. One team is 3 steps behind and one team is not. They got all the 50-50 ball. I mean, they busted our ass in every kind of way, Michael. There's just no two bones about it. It's one of the worst games I've ever seen.
Very interesting. Becky Hammon uses that beloved word in this league, physicality. She didn't use it the way we're used to hearing it. We hear about how this is a physical league, and the Fever and Caitlin Clark in particular must step up to match the physicality. I mean, it really is a badge of honor in this league. Remember Gino Auriemma, Caitlin Clark's not going to make it in this league because she doesn't have the right amount of physicality. It's all about the physicality. But generally, we don't hear that term applied to the Indiana Fever. Notice what Becky Hammon said. They were grabbing, they were holding, it was rugby, and if the officials are going to allow that level of physicality, well, my goodness, we had better step it up. Rugby, physicality. Once again, the Indiana Fever Was the team supposedly not ready for the physicality? What we're seeing is that this Indiana Fever team has determined that they're not going to be pushed around. I really believe that something shifted after that Connecticut game. Yeah, where Caitlin was gouged in the eye again, where she was dropped to the floor again, where Sophie Cunningham ended up stepping up and saying, not so, not going unaddressed. Something shifted there. I'm not saying the Fever is a dirty team. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that, listen, we're watching an Aaliyah Boston who is not allowing herself to be shoved out of the way. I don't care if it's Asia Wilson. I don't care if it's Nafisa Collier. We're seeing an Aaliyah Boston who's just like, listen, we have to be aggressive. But Becky Hammon made it sound like the Fever was dirty in rugby and we couldn't do it and we couldn't match the physicality, as if the Aces don't show that beat your chest kind of physicality either. And I'm going to use as an example her star player, the so-called best player in the world, Asia Wilson. What does Becky Hammon call this? What I'm about to show you. This had to do with how Lexi Hall was treated and Asia Wilson's special whistle came into effect. This is not physicality, Becky Hammon. Let's go over to correlation on X, which really shows the Aces' own physicality. I want you to pay special attention to Debbie Antonelli, who's calling the game, and the gentleman who's calling it with her. Sorry, I don't recall his name. And they're pointing out what they're seeing there, which should not be a jump ball, which is what the officials called it. It was clearly over the back. It was clearly physicality.
Shot won't fall. Listen, it looks like over the back. Oh boy, jump ball is the call.
All Lexi Hall can do is smile there because it's so obvious. It's so obviously over the back. And you see Sophie Cunningham pointing it out, and you're going to hear those calling the game, these two still talking about it. And Stephanie White wasn't happy either. Let's continue with this so-called non-physical play, I suppose, according to Becky Hammon. This is the Fever's physicality. My goodness.
Stephanie White's upset about that. That was over the back. Wow. Watch this. That's a jump ball.
Look at that. I mean, look at that. You hear Debbie Antonelli. That's a jump ball? When, on what universe is this a jump ball? And then the coach goes to the post-game conference and talks about the Fever's physicality. Becky Hammon said, well, if they're going to allow this level of physicality, well, my goodness. Well, what about that level of physicality? What about the over the back? What about Asia Wilson's special whistle in the midst of her physicality? But I'm not going to argue with her that this team appears to be tougher, which is a really good thing, especially when you go back 2 weeks ago after the Indiana Fever lost to the expansion team, Golden State Valkyries. Kelsey Mitchell had some choice words, had a choice description for her team concerning herself as well as the rest of her team. And it's not the same word that 2 weeks later Becky Hammon was using to describe the Fever. So we're going to go over to YouTube to the Indiana Fever's account.
I think that overall it's not about just Caitlin specifically. I thought it was about our entire group. We were soft. We just weren't. They made us pay by just being stronger, being tougher, 50-50 balls, deflections, getting the passing lanes. That's just a piece of just being aggressive and having an ability to like look at our best player and be like, nah, they gonna be aggressive. And I think that we allowed it. We kind of tucked our tail a little bit tonight on the aggression side, and I think that's our down play right now. We have to learn how to see rounds for what they is. That's one thing, but be aggressive and stop being so soft. And I think that as a group, we just collectively allow too much.
Let me tell you something right now. There is no athlete in any sport who wants to be perceived as soft, who wants to be soft. And Kelsey Mitchell said, we were just soft, tucking our tails, not going after it, not being aggressive. And you can't win that way. Enough of the softness. Just 2 weeks later, we get Becky Hammon in a post-game press conference saying the Indiana Fever's physicality was not matched. Got to jump in here really quickly and give you a TikTok update. You guys know I've been fighting impersonators, and I had one account that you guys were helping me with pull down, but the same person just start another one like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's what they do. And when I put something over that says this is where my content really is from, then the person, like they did last night, puts up a little blur thing so nobody can see it, which really works to my benefit when I deal with TikTok, because they get to see the screenshots of what I put up on my channel. And then they get to see how the person is clearly trying to hide it. They didn't have any content to put up while I was on vacation. Of course, they're too lazy to do their own stuff. So they waited till I got off vacation, and then they put up more of my work last night. So I don't intend to put any more things over my face, at least not regularly. Might throw a curveball in there, here or there. I don't intend to do all that. Probably something here in the front there. And pointing out where my work is from, and also reaching out to people who are commenting over there on that account. The new account that this thief put up is WNBA US. It's WNBA and there's a space US. They're not using my logo now. They haven't used the Adrienne Ross show. That one got taken down. So now the WNBA space US, but it's all my work. It's just them stealing my work. So I already got some things in the works as far as getting that one taken down. And to the person who's watching right now, who's doing this, it would be better for you if you just cut it out, get out there, do something on your own. I'm going to continue to get your stuff taken down, and now reaching out to people so they know what's going on. So we're going to fight the thing. It takes time. It's annoying, but I'm also going to have, although I didn't want to, I'm also going to have a greater presence on my real TikTok, which I didn't want to do anything with, but my real TikTok is called Real Adrienne Ross Show. Real Adrienne Ross Show. I want you to go over there, follow me over there, get engaged over there with stuff, and then report this other fake thief, evil impersonator who just repent and do right. God bless you. All right, now back to this show. That Connecticut game was a turning point, because here's the deal. Not only can the Indiana Fever, or could the Indiana Fever, look at each one of them and say, we are being soft, we're not being aggressive, but I'm telling you that throughout this league, there were teams who were looking at the Indiana Fever and saying they're soft. They can't match the physicality. I guarantee you that the teams are shocked at what they're seeing from Aaliyah Boston. They are like, who is this player? Who is this team? Something has shifted. Becky Hammon coming to the post game, complaining, oh, they're grabbing, oh, they're holding, oh, it's rugby. Because remember, everybody else is supposed to be the ones who can get away with the physicality, and the Indiana Fever supposed to cave, tuck their tails, and run. And right now, we're not seeing that same team anymore. We're seeing a team who says, we have to be aggressive, we have to compete, we have to be physical. As much as I can't stand the physicality, and as much as I can look at Asia Wilson over the back of Lexi Hall and say, look at that special whistle in the midst of her physicality, I gotta say, this Fever team has stepped up the aggression, whatever you want to call it, physicality, whatever you want to call it. They have stepped things up to the point that some of these top-notch coaches in this league are looking at that team and saying, oh yeah, they're bringing it. 2 weeks ago, the team said, we're soft. 2 weeks later, coaches and no doubt players are recognizing this team is not displaying softness at all. And it needs to continue, not dirty, but not getting pushed around. Period. Period. With a T at the end. So, number one, Becky Hammon, cut that mess out about people grabbing and holding you and all this stuff. Come on now. I just showed you right there your own player. There's that part. But then there's also the other part. They're definitely more aggressive, and they're going to need to be, because it is the fever and everybody gets up for the fever and everybody wants to take the fever down. When the team says it, they ain't lying. They are not lying. It's so much so that whenever I ventured into the other day into the cesspool known as social media, I'm hearing people, fans out there of whatever team, talking about how dirty the Indiana Fever is. All of a sudden, the Indiana Fever is dirty. All of a sudden, Aaliyah Boston is dirty. Why? Because they're stepping it up and saying, no more, we're going to be your punching bag. Come on, somebody. Hey, there's a lot of season left. You got to be aggressive in this league. And Becky Hammon says they're going to let them be physical. Yeah. Maybe they're going to let them play like you play. Okay. Anyway, glad to see the progression in 2 weeks. Glad to see other people recognize it. And I hope they're not blind to their own physicality. All right. I've said enough. Listen, I am intending to go live for the Indiana Fever's game against the LA Sparks today. And make sure your notifications are turned on. And so you can join us during that game. Hopefully another win for the Fever. So I will catch you then, or I will catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.